please join me in the invitation to gather. We are made for goodness. We are made for love. We are made for friendliness. We are made for togetherness. We are made for all of the beautiful things that you and I know. We are made to tell the world that there are no outsiders. All are welcome. We all belong to this family, this human family, God's family. So many ways we divide ourselves and pit us against one another, O God. But in this moment, we bear witness to another truth. We were made for love. We gather as a testament that people, despite their differences, can learn and pray, lead and love, sacrifice and serve together. We affirm one another as friends and neighbors and co-laborers in making heaven's realm a reality on earth for all. In word and deed, we proclaim that we are better off together than being apart. May we continue to be a place and a people that welcomes all, even as Jesus did. We join our voices now in prayer as he taught us, saying, Our Creator, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive our sins, as we forgive those who sin against us. And lead us not into temptation, deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to New England Church on this second Sunday of Lent. A very special welcome to those who are guests among us today. No matter who you are or where you are on your journey of life or faith, you are welcome here. Please note your attendance in the friendship register before passing it to your neighbor. We welcome you all to join us in the narthex for coffee following worship. A special thank you to all those who were involved in our service this morning, to our liturgist Bob, our organist Marsha, Gary on the piano, Ina and the Chancel choir, to our greeters and ushers, and to Josh in the AV booth. We are so grateful for your participation in worship today. Please take a moment to read through all of the announcements in your bulletin. Of special note, our high school youth group will be hosting coffee fellowship this morning following worship. Plan to stop by for coffee, lemonade, and treats, and greet the wonderful youth of New England Church. This Wednesday, March 16th at 6 p.m., we continue our adult Lenten study, Genesis to Revelation, a 6-week overview of the entire Bible. If you weren't able to join us last week, it's not too late. Sign up using the link in this week's e-blast. We're looking for a few good folks to assist in planning New England's participation in this year's Pride Parade. Please contact Kimberly Adams if you're willing to assist. Finally, in response to the ongoing crisis in Ukraine, we invite you to consider donating to the United Church of Christ Ukraine Emergency Relief Fund. Monies raised will provide shelter, food, and other care to refugees and internally displaced people. It will also help refugees and asylum seekers from Africa, Middle Eastern, and other countries who had sought refuge in Ukraine and are now twice displaced, as well as other citizens of more than 125 countries living in Ukraine. You can donate using the link in this week's e-blast or see the bulletin announcement for more information. And now we continue in worship with the presentation of Bibles.
Today is Bible Sunday, and we will be recognizing our third grade children who will be receiving a Bible. We ask if you are present to please come forward when your name is announced and remain standing at the front until all children have received their Bibles. The first child to receive a Bible is Jillian Brooks. Alexandra Johnson. Will O'Connell. Renee Ream. As we conclude the presentation of Bibles, are there any third graders here today who did not receive a Bible? If so, you are also welcome to come forward. If there are no additional children, please join me in congratulating our Bible recipients. All remaining children may now come forward for children's time.
Good morning. It is so good to be together with all of you this morning. Congratulations to our third graders who received their Bibles this morning. The Bible is a pretty special book, isn't it? It is. Parts of it may be up to 3,000 years old. Can you imagine holding something that old in your hands? No, that's right. I brought something with me this morning that I would like to show you. This is a very, very old copy of the Bible. It's called the Geneva Bible. It was printed 419 years ago in 1603. The same year that Queen Elizabeth I died. This is the same kind of Bible that the great playwright William Shakespeare used. It's also the same kind of Bible that the Pilgrims brought over with them on the Mayflower. So I want to show it to you. You can gather around if you want to see it better. Do you see how fragile the pages look? And how tiny the writing is? And how weird the letters look? Do you think you could read this? Yeah? Maybe, probably. The pages are really yellow. It's super, super old, and if I was to read from it today, you guys would probably think it sounds a little bit funny. People talked differently 400 years ago. Did you know that? Yeah, they did. Well, it's a very special book, and the Bible is a very special book. Believe it or not, the content is about the same today as it was 400 years ago, as it was 2,000 years ago. About 30 adults got together last Wednesday night here at New England Church and decided to study and read the Bible together. Why do you think that we still get together and read and study something that is this old? Because it's a good book. Because it's so old, not many people have read it all. Yeah, what else? Any other reasons we might still get together to study this old book? Knowledge. It was made by God. Any other thoughts? Yeah, it teaches us about God. It helps us know how to live good lives. It has many interesting stories. It has beautiful songs and prayers. It teaches us about our ancestors in faith. And it connects us to billions of people who read and studied this book many, many years ago and still today. The Bible is a very special book. And I hope each of you will take some time to read it. You don't have to use a 400-year-old copy like this one. You can use the ones you got today. You can use a Bible storybook. Whichever version you have is the one to read. And I know you're going to do some more of that in church school, so let's have a prayer, and then we'll dismiss you to church school. Dear God, we're grateful for the Bible and for the ways it guides our lives and connects us to our ancestors in faith. As we learn its stories for ourselves, may we grow in wisdom and in love. Amen. Thank you all for coming. You can head to church school. Let us be together in a spirit of prayer. For all the gifts of this day, may we be truly grateful, O God. For the freshness of winter air, the warmth of home, the kinship of these friends and neighbors, the energy and excitement of children, the chance to look once again on each other's faces. For all the gifts of this day, may we be truly grateful. And for all the needs of our world, may we be ever mindful. For the millions affected by fighting in Ukraine, those ministering to refugees, those grieving the loss of homes, family members, friends. For the teachers, children, and youth of this nation, affected by laws aimed at restricting knowledge, conversation, and affirmation. For those struggling to keep their homes, or feed their families, or put gas in their cars to get to work. For all the needs of our world, may we be ever mindful. May we learn to receive all that is good as a gift. And may we learn to respond to all needs as opportunities to share, to accompany, to love, and to extend Jesus' dream of wholeness, plenty, and peace. Amen. Hear now a reading from the Gospel according to Luke, the 13th chapter. At that very hour, some Pharisees came and said to Jesus, "Get away from here, for Herod wants to kill you." He said to them, "Go and tell that fox for me. Listen, I am casting out demons and performing cures today and tomorrow, and on the third day I finish my work. Yet today, tomorrow, and the next day I must be on my way, because it is impossible for a prophet to be killed outside of Jerusalem. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, the city that kills the prophets and stones those who are sent to it. How often have I desired to gather your children as a hen gathers her brood under her wings, and you were not willing. See, your house is left to you. And I tell you, you will not see me until the time comes when you say, 'Blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord.'" Here ends the reading. One bright evening, as the sun was sinking, a wise old hen flew into a tree to roost. Just as she was about to put her head under her wing, her eyes caught a flash of red and a glimpse of a long and pointed nose, and there just below stood a fox. "Have you heard the wonderful news?" cried the fox in a very joyful and excited manner. "What news?" asked the hen calmly. But she had a queer, fluttery feeling inside her, for you know she was very much afraid of the fox. "Your family and mine and all other animals have agreed to forget their differences and live in peace from now on forever. Just think of it. I simply cannot wait to embrace you. Do come down, dear friend, and let us celebrate this joyful event." "How grand," said the hen. "I certainly am delighted at the news." But she spoke in an absent way, and stretching up on her tiptoes, seemed to be looking at something far off. "What is it that you see?" asked the fox a little anxiously. "Why, it looks to me like a couple of dogs coming this way. They must have heard the good news and—" But the fox did not wait to hear more. Off he started on a run. "Wait," cried the hen. "Why do you run? The dogs are friends of yours now." "Yes," answered the fox, "but they might not have heard the news yet. Besides, I have a very important errand that I'd almost forgotten about." The hen smiled as she buried her head in her feathers and went to sleep, for she had succeeded in outwitting a very crafty enemy. The fabled enmity between the fox and the hen is the stuff of legend. Most of us have heard this story before, or one very similar, and those of us who have raised chickens know that the wit and wisdom of the hen in this story is not even remotely reflective of reality. Even so, I have often thought that the truly unsung hero of the farmyard is none other than the chicken. An ancient and I think noble bird, descended from the red jungle fowl, the chicken has long been my personal favorite member of the avian family. With their diminutive size, less than sharp wit, and inability to fly, the chicken is unlikely to be what most birders would choose to represent the best and brightest of winged creatures. I, however, respectfully disagree. From an early age, I begged my parents to allow me to have a pet house chicken, a request which they unsurprisingly declined to grant. Instead, I got a fish tank. This was not an adequate substitute. Not only are chickens incredibly practical birds, egg producers, meat producers, and a threat to pesky bugs, and relatively cheap and easy to keep, there is also a certain innate nobility in them. A nobility that apparently Jesus noticed too, as he referenced in this morning's reading from Luke's Gospel. Jesus compares himself to a mother hen, longing to gather her chicks beneath her wings. In our text, the often maligned Pharisees warn Jesus to escape from King Herod while he still can. Jesus instructs them to tell the old fox that he's busy doing his work, but when he's done, he will be on his way to Jerusalem. The truth is, the Pharisees had very good reason to be worried for Jesus. King Herod's father had executed his 2 eldest sons and tried the third for treason. The third son had attempted to kill him by poisoning because of his plan to divide the kingdom into 3 smaller portions, one for each of the remaining sons. In a family marked by treachery, Herod had to maintain control, order in his volatile region under the ever-watchful eye of Rome. He had already executed John the Baptist, and Jesus, too, was in his sights. When Jesus referred to him as a fox, we can be sure that he did not mean it as a term of endearment. Rather, in the ancient world as it is today, foxes were associated with craftiness, lack of strength, a proclivity for malicious destructiveness, and intelligence. The Pharisees knew this, and they warned Jesus to get away while he still could. And that is when the chicken arrives on the scene. Jesus refers to himself with longing as a mother hen gathering her chicks for protection beneath her wings. But these particular chicks aren't having any of it. Episcopal priest and author Barbara Brown Taylor says it this way: at the risk of his own life, Jesus has brought the very realm of God within the reach of the beloved city of God, but the city isn't interested. Jerusalem has better things to do than hide under the shelter of this mother hen's wings. It has a fox as its head, who commands a great deal more respect. She continues, consider the contrast. Jesus has disciples. Herod has soldiers. Jesus serves. Herod rules. Jesus prays for his enemies. Herod kills his. Between this mother hen and this fox, Jerusalem wasn't betting on Jesus. Even so, that's what hens do. They gather their brood beneath their wings and they face the danger. In this text about a sinister fox and a noble chicken, Jesus gives us a profoundly powerful image for the church. As Jesus' ongoing presence in the world, the church is called to imitate him in word and in deed. If Jesus longed to gather the chicks under his wings, then perhaps the church should too. Perhaps the church should be a mother hen, putting herself between the fragile chicks of the world and the hungry foxes. Like a mother hen, the church is called to welcome, to love, to nurture, to feed, and to protect the chicks. And then, when those chicks become full-grown chickens themselves, they're called to do the very same thing. In so many ways, churches do just that. New England Church comes between the fox and the chicks every time we support the food pantry with money, food, or service. Every time we provide shoes or school supplies or gifts for local children. Every time we serve meals at Hesed House, pack food at Feed My Starving Children, make up Easter baskets for Mutual Ground, or write a check to the United Church of Christ Disaster Ministries. We come between the fox and the chicks when we march in the Pride Parade and declare our unconditional love for all people and all relationships and all families. We come between the fox and the chicks when we educate ourselves and challenge the status quo of racism and white privilege. We come between the fox and the chicks every time a child is welcomed, every time an elder is assisted, every time a stranger is befriended. But even for all that New England Church does, Jesus' call is always bigger, always broader, always more encompassing. Who are the chicks that are still on the fringes, still struggling, still hopelessly alone without a brood? Jesus longed to gather them all up, like a mother hen, safely beneath her wings. And that is our calling too. As a kid, I never did get my pet chicken. I got them as an adult instead. And I'd be happy to talk to you about that anytime. But this Lent, I think Jesus is calling our church to become like a mother hen, to look out for the struggling chicks in our schools, in our workplaces, and in our communities, and welcome them into the brood, sheltered safely under the wings of God's all-encompassing love. This Lent, let's live like Jesus. Let's live like a noble chicken, like a mother hen gathering and protecting those who are sick, those who are lonely, those with needs, those who are disenfranchised. Let's live like Jesus and gather all the chicks we can into a brood where all are truly welcome. May it be so. Amen.
dedicate these gifts to making friends, knowing neighbors, caring for communities, building bridges. We dedicate these gifts and ourselves to the ingathering of peoples, one human family throughout the world. May this church and all those who find here a spiritual home be a source of inspiration and love as we seek to build heaven's realm in our midst. Amen.
And now take courage, friends. The way is often hard, the path is rarely clear, and the stakes are very high. Take courage, for deep down there is another truth. You are not alone. Go in peace, for you cannot go where God is not already there. Amen.